thoughts in my mind.
You get that CJ3 yet?
No, April 29th. As of today, they said that.
Okay.
Well, and actually, that's even like a initial placeholder. I think it's going to
So
be
we're trying
3
to,
days.
yeah,
after.
we were trying to open a center.
Yeah. But yeah, they sent the email.
16th
Well,
of April.
what's his name?
And so
John.
in the Boise.
We actually deleted it.
Last week. But I was gonna go.
Yeah, this is. John sent this to me like this morning at 11 o'clock. So yeah, so April 29th is the ready for delivery date. But then I guess there's some pre-buy inspection that just got Cessna does for us or some third-party vendor.
They left yesterday.
Interesting.
Seems a little bad to have Cessna do a pre-buy for you.
Yeah, it's like having Boeing do a pre-buy.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, how about we just do that? But yeah, so
So are you managing the plane?
John wants to, but initially, yes, it's going to be me.
Because there's a little more involved with that than there is a turbo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm a little, yeah,
Okay.
I'm a little. It's going to get interesting.
So how are you today? What time zone are you in?
Oh, I woke up 4 o'clock your time yesterday.
Okay.
I'm taking a 2-hour nap. I'm still pushing through. I just grabbed it this morning. I meant to put red eye, in.
Neat.
So should we call you Jim?
And were you able to
Jim, see it?
Is already an entity set up for that plane?
Yes.
That's awesome. Did you start working on
That's so
that?
nice.
Sure.
You might want to look into that. It's such a royal pain.
Is it?
Yes. I'm still fighting on one at the Challenger. I've been working on it for 2 years.
Really?
You would just answer me.
Then I don't have to get
Good
with anybody.
afternoon. How are you?
We're gonna have to hire your services, I think, a little bit here.
Cool. I think you're setting a precedent.
I'm setting a precedent, or
Yes.
you are?
You are.
You're showing up and listening.
Say. We're waiting on one more board member. He said he's gonna be here, so we're gonna give him just two or 3 minutes, and then we'll get started just a couple minutes late.
Gordon back there.
Cool.
Is Chris gone? How long is Chris gone?
So if we wanted to join one of your Wi-Fi hotspots,
I have no idea what this password is. I just know that my logs in. No.
I missed item 4. Do you have item 4 on yours?
what?
On the emailed variant? Oh, just hand it to Christian right there.
Oh, it's new.
I didn't see it when I was looking.
Things that changed. I've no doubt that one knows that. Oh, is that what he said? Okay. All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. We've got Claire Anderson will be our other board member. He'll be joining us about 10 minutes late, so we excuse his tardiness. But we'll go ahead and call this April 4th Airport Board meeting to order. And before we begin with the regular agenda items, is there any public comment? All right. With none, we'll go on to item number 1, a review of the minutes of the February 1st meeting. These were sent out some time ago by Christian. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion to accept?
Motion by Dwayne,
Second it.
second by Brad. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And We go old school with I.
I don't know what I'm supposed
I was
to
gonna
do.
say, I don't know that yes over there. We tried changing it a while ago, and it just doesn't
It takes a
happen.
long
doesn't
time
stick.
to
It
get
takes a
in.
long
Yeah.
time, yeah. You stick with it, we'll join you. All right, those opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, item number 2, a financial report from Jordan.
And I think Jordan's out for spring break. He hasn't emailed out those reports yet, but I'm sure he'll do that Monday. And if any questions are raised, reach out to me or Jordan.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll go ahead and table that then for the time. Oh. How about that there, James? Sorry about that, guys. All right, item number 3, a facilities report from Christian.
Okay, we'll hop right into this facilities report. Since we missed our February meeting, this is our February operations count. We had 7,068 operations in February, bringing our 2024 total to that point to 13,381 operations. And this past month, March, our operations were 8,967, bringing our total 24 operations to 22,348 operations. We held our airport March town hall on March 19th. We had a decent attendance. I think we had probably 30 to 40 individuals there. We covered a lot of topics concerning safety and the future of the airport, what development looks like down the road, things like that. There was a slideshow prepared by board members and I that will be sent out with the April bulletin newsletter that we send out. That should be sent out any day now. And overall, the focus for this upcoming year is going to be on safety and efficiency, with the outcome of that meeting being that landing fees are postponed this next year. So if anyone has questions about that, they can reach out to me or our board members who were there at the meeting. Our upcoming projects, we have our runway preservation project. I'll have Kim Sylvester give us a quick update on that right now.
Hello, Kim Sylvester with JUB Engineers. We opened bids on the pavement preservation project last month on the 14th. We received 4 bids. Very competitive this year in this area of work. The low bidder was Straight Stripe Painting. They did the work 4 years ago on the runway. Very confident in their work. Their low bid was $221,360. And the areas included for this are the runway, Taxiway B that's built now, what's there now, and then also Taxiway A from Alpha, north of Alpha 4. So the areas that we did not reconstruct last summer. So really great bids. You know, my end estimate was quite a bit higher, so that's awesome. Grant offer is out from UDOT. It is to the city. It'll go before City Council on the 16th, and that includes the engineering and the administrative fees. UDOT is paying 90% of this project, and the city is picking up the remaining 10%. And the contracts have been sent out to Straight Stripe already, and they're signed. I just received them back in my office today. So we are do not have a schedule from them yet. They weren't sure. They haven't figured out their schedule for the summer yet. They're still bidding projects, and then they'll get that to us in the next few weeks or so. So I have no idea yet on schedule. So I'll let you know as soon as I do. Any questions?
Is there part of Taxiway B that's coming out as a part of Steve's and Paige's?
There is, and good question. They did little known thing during construction. We will be marking out that. I think is it like 180 feet or something?
That's 180 feet.
So that was
Yeah.
considered in their bid?
Yep.
That is under bid, but we are going to actually mark that out and not have them do that part because that'd be a waste of materials and funds.
Right.
So I'm expecting that to come. The overall cost will be lower, pending the crack ceiling. Crack ceiling is always kind of a guess on how much footage we have in there. So otherwise, yeah, thank you for asking that. That's perfect. Any other questions?
Do we have a projected date for that, Kim? And can we refresh memories on airport closure timelines?
We do not have a date yet. Straight Stripe is still getting their schedule together, but I should in about a month, I think. By May 1st, I should know for sure. So by our next meeting, so we will be closing the runway for about a week. I think they have five days for this initial one to get everything done. Straight Stripe's pretty efficient. They can do that pretty quickly. They have 5 days last time as well, or 7 or 10 days last time. I think they only took like 4. So it just depends. We have a little bit more area this time, though, too, with the taxiway. But it will be probably a Monday through Friday closure. We will, as soon as we have a schedule, we'll get that out to Christian so he can notify tenants and make sure everybody's on board. Well, they're notified at least. They don't have to be on board. Thanks.
Thanks, Kim.
Next item, we have a second DNR helipad. They're wanting to bring in a second helicopter on top of their big yellow S-61 that's at the airport every summer. This helicopter will be a Type 3, so an A-Star or Bell 407, definitely a lot smaller of a helicopter. We had looked at this area outlined in red to cite that. They are liking the idea of putting that actually now in front of Hangar 101, which is owned by Utah Aviation Services, and then they'll rent out some office space in there to work out, which will cut down costs and works out well. If that is the case, which it most likely is, we're going to budget still to go ahead with the extension of the main ramp here and mitigation of that pond. So we'll expect to do that work this summer as well. We also have our airport parking lot project coming up this summer. This is kind of what our initial site plan is going to look like for that parking lot. That does expand that parking lot quite a bit, and will entail a brand new fence around the edge there and a new gate access system, which will be app-based. So we're looking forward to that project. And then we've had our Spanish Fork City streets and stormwater crews out the last 2 weeks looking at the infilled ditches between the runway and taxiway. They're going to get started on piping and filling those different ditches this next couple of weeks. So we're looking forward to starting that project as well. So any questions about these upcoming projects this summer?
On the gate access, do we know exactly what program we're using, or are we still just kind of filling out?
Yep. It'll be through Buchanan Access, which already maintains our gates at the moment. Heber uses this system in a couple of the airports as well. And it's an app that you simply open up, and it will say Gate 1 or Gate 2 or whatever gate it is, and you just tap it within, I think, a 20-yard range, and it'll lift that gate for you.
Okay.
And then we'll also have an airport number listed on the gate that if there's any issues or you don't have an access app to get in, you can call, and we'll have a staff member on notice at all times to cover that in case someone needs to get into the airport. So that's what Heber and other airports do, so it's worked out well. So I think it'll work out well here at Spanish Fork and cut down on a lot of the vehicle access that we have on the airport that's not really necessary.
Is there a limit on number of, like a hangar owner? Is there a limit how many they can have? Or
No, what we're proposing right now is each hangar owner gets 2 apps for free. And then past that, if you're not a hangar owner, hangar owners 2, tie-down owners 1, and then on top of that, the access fee is $40 per phone to set up. And that's just a cost that it takes to set up the system. So
How would you deal with someone with the hangars like ours? I mean, 20,000 square feet. We have 6 aircraft in it right now. This thing is 8. So it wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be fair to limit us to 2.
yeah, we could adjust it and do by square footage of the hangar as well, something like that. Any other suggestions or thoughts?
Do it by
I
airplane.
hadn't heard that before.
Do it by airplane, because if somebody's tied down, they're still going to get on the ramp.
Yeah.
That might help with data collection on what's stored in the field.
So that's fair.
I know Mike Buchanan pretty well. Do you know what system it is? Is it Cellgate, or do you know what the actual hardware is?
Yeah, I can't recall what the name is right off the top of my head.
Good deal, thanks.
This is for the security gates.
Yep.
Access.
Yep.
When are you proposing this?
We would install that during the parking lot construction this summer.
This is summer.
Yeah, and we would give a healthy heads up to all our owners and try to get them set up well in advance, so there's not any access issues.
So you said $40 for the card or whatever to access the hangars?
Well, each hangar owner will either receive 2 free passes, or it'll be by square footage of the hangar. And past that, it'll be a $40 charge per app.
Is that per year? Is that going to be a?
No, it'll be a one-time fee.
One-time fee?
Yep.
Christian, would you look into maybe instead of per hangar, but maybe per tail
Yeah.
number?
Yep,
Because that'll
absolutely.
also help with our getting everyone to acknowledge what airplane is based here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Help with that
absolutely.
data collection. But I wonder if maybe like 2 per aircraft, that would help with what Steve's talking about.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
See if that makes sense on how that budget would work on what the cost structure is.
Yep.
Or how it needs to be worked, but instead of per hangar. All right. Any
Any
other
other-
questions
yeah.
from the board on the facility report, or is there more on the facility report I cut in?
Nope, that's it as far as the facility report.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Great, thanks, Christian. Let's see, actually, right back at you, though. Item number 4, a proposed rate change.
So, several months ago, the airport board approved a rate change for fuel flowage that'll take effect July 1st. That's raising fuel flowage from 6 cents to 8 cents per gallon. And this brings our fee, you can look in the top right-hand corner, will be right on average for our region as far as fuel flowage. We're proposing a hangar ground lease increase. The current rate is 42 cents per square foot. We're proposing an increase to 43 cents per square foot. We'll still be below the regional average. You can see on that graph on the right that the average currently is 44 cents per square foot. And then that table on the bottom shows our historical increases over the last couple of years.
Obviously, the increase of this going towards just the future growth on Taxiway Bravo and
Yep.
I think you're keeping up with the growth and
Yep. And historically, we've made some really drastic jumps in this hangar ground lease fees. You can see, we went from 31 to 35, then 35 to 38. So they've been 5 or 6 or 4 cent jumps over the last couple of years. And so in the future, the plan is to increase, maybe a cent every other year, every 3 years, and do it a little bit slower instead of doing such huge jumps every couple of years.
You said, so 1 cent, is this, what is this per square foot?
Per square foot.
So
Yep.
if you had a 3,000 square foot hangar, you're gonna pay another $30 a year for it.
Yep.
You're saying. What is that money for?
We have the need for our future taxiway Bravo on the north side, and we have a lot of increased operational needs at the airport. We have a lot more asphalt to maintain. We have a lot more need for employees and equipment maintenance, things like that. So just overall cost of running and managing the airport has increased over the last 5 years as we've grown significantly.
Okay. So what, you said the hangar Bravo, the taxiway Bravo, that's gonna fund that part of it?
Yeah, not entirely, but we are starting to set aside funding to cover part of that cost in the future.
Is that's gonna be federally funded, right?
Currently, no. We have federal funds for Bravo 1 through Bravo 3 in several years, but we don't have any federal funds in the next 10 years for between Bravo 4 to Bravo 6.
Where's that money gonna come from?
That's a great question.
that's the
That's
$1 million
that's the
question.
Another question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but basically, items like this, like we're, keeping up to at least regional
So,
averages.
well, can I propose some ideas?
I'm going to leave that up to the chairman.
I was gonna say
Well, who's it benefiting
the airport users.
on the north side of the airport, right? Pretty much, yeah.
Airport in general.
I think that's a dangerous road to take because, it's like the city streets of Spanish Fork. Like I never drive down Second West. You know what I mean? But my taxes go to that benefit in the event I need it. Where if we have a taxiway Alpha closure for like striping and things like that, I might use taxiway Bravo once in a blue moon. So I would hate to say that just the new guys on the north side are paying something because the taxiway Alpha was built in the 1930s. You know what I mean? So I think it's hard to justify. It's like a tie down. We kind of looked at this at tie downs. If we increase the tie down, every tie down costs $300,000. So if we have somebody who says, "Hey, I need a tie down," they're wanting to pay the yearly $900. If we build one, we can't just say, "Well, you actually owe us $300,000 first, and then $900 after that." You're kind of joined in that group. So it's kind of an overall collective group going towards it. So I think in my opinion, it's a dangerous mindset to say it's only the north side because we're going to see a lot of benefit from those hangar owners on the north side from us on the south because they're going to pay fuel flowage fees. They're going to pay things that are going to go to helping with things on the south side of the airport. So I think it's a collective unit, not picking on one or the other.
Adding to what you're saying, Matt, I think it's hard to pigeonhole those dollars to any one given thing anyway, because of the fact that operational costs are increasing. We all know inflation has gone up as we continue to grow as an airport, as these FBOs come online. We're going to need more airport staff, some different things like that. So there's a lot of preparation for the future. And so to pigeonhole that money to say this is what it's for would be naive of us at this moment, because of the fact that we don't know what those
We don't know
costs
what it
look
goes
like.
to. That is also
But
a
it's
good point.
important that we're making sure that we're making small incremental changes instead of vast, huge changes. When we see those huge changes, it causes such a problem to all users, whether that's from a tax standpoint, whether that's from a fee standpoint. It's important that we're not doing drastic changes when we're making changes.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we do, right? I know we keep pointing to Taxiway Bravo because we see a big void right there, and so it's kind of the easy thing to say. But this airport's about to triple in size, and so I think that's kind of what Councilman Jesse's talking, or Gordon is talking about there. But the idea is that we're going to have a lot of operational cost increase, and so I think we're just making sure that as we go forward, we have prepared ourselves for what's coming.
Yeah, and I think it's important to approach this as not an us versus them, a south side versus north side issue. We're an airport as a whole, and we want to maintain, friendliness and safety and continuity.
But all I'm just saying is that, to build the airport access from that side so they can taxi down to 1, 2, or 3, 0, that's really to their benefit, what I'm saying. So that,
Yeah.
I mean, we also have the airspace issues that we're dealing with, and have
Yeah.
some task orders that are coming up to Christian right now. That's going to cost money that the FAA is not paying for. A lot of operational issues that you have as well.
I think
And it's failing.
Yeah.
Things need to be replaced. Lights are failing.
Well, and the city is no longer subsidizing the airport effective this year. That's $105,000 a year that we're no longer getting from the city. So we've got to find some place to start recouping that.
Yeah. I think what Christian and his staff has been doing, they just looked real inwards towards our airport to make sure, hey, are all areas, are we where we should be? Have we let anything get, past the gates, that we're not where we should be? Because as we see these increases, we've had a lot of interested parties, saying, hey, are you on track with this? If you're thinking this mindset, have you thought about others and areas? And so I think that's just, kind of as a broad picture we're looking at when increases. And like, Brad just mentioned, this 1% or 1 cent increase is a 2.2% increase.
2.2%, yep.
Yeah. So it's
Minuscule.
really, it's minuscule. Like I said, it's not even keeping
Yeah,
up
it's
with inflation.
$30, isn't it?
yeah, I agree. That's,
We could wait 3 years and do a 5 or 6 cent increase.
Yeah. So, but I do see the concern. I mean, we're seeing where you're coming from, James.
yeah,
But I think we're-
all I'm saying is, I'm not trying to segregate it, that north from the south. I'm just saying that who's benefiting, who's making the money on all this, and I don't want the guys that are already established here to suffer for all that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody's making the money because we're running at a deficit.
Yeah. I think it does benefit everyone. Like I said, like my example, Second West, if Main Street had a construction or a closure, all of a sudden Second West, I very rarely use it, all of a sudden I'm using it heavily or during some time period. And I think that's how we'll see as benefit as an airport as a whole. It's just increasing that efficiency, so. Anyway, all right. With that, any other discussion? Oh, thank you, Claire. That's what I was trying to get to. Motion on the increase to 43 cents?
For the fuel and the hangar.
Yeah, the motion on the fuel has already been made.
Okay.
Yep. So just the hanger.
That's the hanger.
Motion on the
All right,
Second.
motion. Seconded by Dwayne. Those in favor?
hangar. Aye. Yes.
And that's effective fiscal year this year?
Yep,
so
July 1st. Yep.
All right, those opposed? All right, motion carries.
So how does that work then on the hangar leases? Because they don't
Yeah.
come out in July.
Yep. We bill starting December. So when we send out our bill this upcoming December, that'll be reflected on there.
Okay.
So it'll be 2025 then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, do that. Yeah. All right, on to item number 5. We have a new business request from Wasatch Flight Medicine. We have Dr. John Bateman. If you'd welcome to come.
Thank you.
Grab the hot mic. and introduce yourself and your business. We had your letter sent out to us, but so I don't need to necessarily read it word for word, but if you want to just give us a quick synopsis on
Sure.
what you're doing.
John Baven, pilot, and I'm an AME. I work at 2 clinics in Salt Lake area and would love to open one in the hangar that we're about ready to finish, hopefully soon. Just a small corner of the hangar. I'd like to punch a door out the backside on 700 West for civilian access so they don't have access to the airport, to cut down on traffic inside the airport. For the most part, it's just going to be me running my own clinic there, which doesn't take a whole lot. I just need an office and a bathroom and a waiting area. And the equipment I already have, I'm anticipating or hoping to shut down one of my Salt Lake offices and bring that equipment and furniture and start a AME clinic here, and then just have the one clinic in Salt Lake. Any questions? I'm open to whatever questions you have about that.
Yeah, so
Access from the back?
yeah, that's
What does that look like?
Yeah,
So-
we're working through that right now. We've got plans to construct a parking lot just to the south of Hangar 127. And then we're in talks on putting in a sidewalk, things like that, and making that public access really seamless.
really seamless on that. I was going to say, most, if you're just yourself, I'm guessing just need, what, two or three parking
I
stalls at
don't
most?
think I would need more than 2 and 3 parking spots. I'm not sure if you're familiar where 127 is. There's going to be a large parking area just to the south on 700 West. I'd like to just have a sidewalk on the back of the hangar to a man door that I'd like to punch out the back wall.
Walk after that. Oh, we
And-
actually have one from our engineers.
Please.
So are you running a clinic out of any other hangars?
No.
At all? So this would be your first one?
First hangar clinic. but
Hangar clinic,
yes.
right, okay. The reason I'm asking questions is because there is a requirement for hangars to have, primary uses for aviation. How much square footage versus the entire hangar are we?
So our hangar is 60 by 60, and my plan for the office would be, and I have a picture if you'd like.
Yeah, does it say, is that on the,
No, that's
It's not up there, and I apologize. I've got some copies if someone wants to take a look at it, but forgive me.
Oh, okay, just a little bit. And we're still putting airplanes in there? Okay.
I didn't draw the plane. I apologize.
Wouldn't that qualify anyway, because their purpose is flight exam for pilots,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's all.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that it's not like
No, that's
operation.
strictly aviation business. We have a plane. The plane will go in there first, and then the clinic will be built.
I think where Kim's coming from, part of the part of the lease agreement that you'll sign on your hangar, it says that the majority of the hangar has to be used for aircraft storage, but you're totally within limits there.
I mean, I don't have percentages, but I would guess about 20% of the square footage.
Yeah.
You can only run businesses out of your hangar. It's just,
Okay.
as long as the hangar's being used for aviation purposes.
All right.
Also important to note is this isn't a, even though it's air medical exam, it's not a license as a doctor's office or a medical place. As the FAA doesn't require that, so there's no hazardous materials. There's not, not doing anything in there like you'd see in a traditional clinic. So really just an office and a bathroom and pretty simple business.
For those of you who don't know, that's Charlie, who co-owns my plane with me and at the hangar as well.
Are you guys
Welcome,
brothers?
Charlie. No, we're not brothers.
Do you get that a lot?
No, I'm way too good looking for that.
Just business partners and good friends.
Sorry to sidetrack.
No worries.
be funny.
But
Good, then. I'm fine.
Okay. Now, I was to say, yeah, you'd be our first AME on the field that we'd know of. Is there, Christian, anything you're needing as far as making administrative side of things happen?
Yep. Once I've got the board approval, I'll just forward that over to business licensing, and they'll issue a permit, and he'll be set.
And I have not reached out to all the AMEs in the Utah County area, but Dr. Hardy, who I know, and I mentioned him in the body of the letter, he's aware of this. I kind of gotten his blessing before I even did this, so I hope that's
Probably
okay.
thanking you.
I was going to say,
He's
I think-
closed. He won't take anybody new.
I was going to say his voicemail didn't answer, and it just says, yeah, if you're needing
well,
a new one,
he
find
even
somebody
refers
else.
on his, at least last time I checked his website, there's a link to my website, so
Yeah,
I appreciate his help.
there's a definite need. Are you able to do all the way through first class? Or are
First,
you-
second, and third. I do not do air traffic controllers yet, but I will. I don't do HIMS yet, but I will.
Okay. No, very cool. That's very good.
You've got a setup to do the EKG.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's directly linked to the FAA, right?
Yeah, I scan directly right there. I pride myself, you get a cert that second, as long as you don't fail or need to defer you, so.
Yeah. And then on your letter, you talked about that, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, but you had that other office as well?
I do. So there are 4 doctors in our other office.
Okay.
Currently, I'm there 4 days a week. I take that back. I just shifted out. One of my partners, Dr. Hendrick, will do Mondays up there. I'll do Mondays in the hangar, I anticipate. That clinic is closed Wednesdays. I'll be in the hangar Wednesday, and for special occurrences on Saturdays.
Okay.
As both clinics grow, I might shift a day towards Spanish as my partner picks up days in Salt Lake. And then we've got me and myself and Dr. Archuleta are full-time in Salt Lake, and then 2 part-times who one of those part-times anticipates ramping up his time. So I don't anticipate, even if I decided to do full-time there, I would be able to cover it.
Okay.
So personal question, what other specialties do you do besides?
I'm board certified in emergency medicine, did that for 18 years. Still, I guess, do it. My last shift was in January, and I hope not to go back. I loved it at the start, but I did my time.
We'll put you on call for airport emergencies.
I was going to say, if you're down there.
No, that is a non-starter. Yeah.
I was going to say, drag you by your ankles. All right, perfect. Any other questions from the board? All right. With that, do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Or
Second?
okay. Motion by Dwayne, seconded by Jesse. Those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
I'll say
All
both.
right.
We'll get it right one of these
I was
days.
going to say. All right, those opposed? Perfect. Hey,
Cool.
we're excited to have you. That's
Thank you.
Thank you.
a definite need in the area, that's for sure. All right. Christian, we've got you for the next 2, but let's go with item 6, tie down and parking lease agreements.
Yep. The board's had a couple months to review these. Chairman Taylor and Member Meller have put a lot of work into making adjustments to these agreements. And so, we're thankful that that's been done. Any questions from the board on these agreements? Little background on this. This is just driven from a little bit of disarray in the past over, agreements that have, there's probably 3 or 4 different agreements that have been drafted up, and it's, wasn't very clear. And so the goal of these agreements is just to kind of solidify that and have that approved by the board, and then just continue doing that in the future whenever we get a new tie-down leasee or trailer parking spot lessee, to sign that with them and just have something more bulletproof legally.
Absolutely. All right, any questions from the board? If none, do we have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept both the tie-down and the parking lease agreements as drafted and
Second.
present to the city council.
All right, motion by Brad, second by Stacy. Those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll get it right one of these days. It's getting closer. It's the closest we've gotten, by the way. I'll tell you that. All right, item number 7, a designated liftoff and landing zone policy. Christian, if you want to also, as you present this, just explain also to the kind of the concerns that have been addressed as to why this has come about.
Yep, I've had a lot of concerns complaints the last couple of years over helicopters flying low over hangars or down alleyways when doors are open, things like that. That, if a door fails because of a helicopter rotor wash or, issues like that, that could be, potentially dangerous for those operating in hangars with doors open or things like that, as well as hangars or helicopters not sidestepping around aircraft wide enough or appropriately. And so this policy, the goal is to kind of target offenders of just inappropriate use of a helicopter and hovering around hangars and other aircraft, and then implement a fine that would target the pilot when appropriate. And this is overall just the purpose would be to be educational and to promote safety and being courteous around the airport. And so if you'd like, I can just kind of read that policy, and then if there's any questions or changes we want to make, we can bring that back next board meeting with those changes.
Yeah, let's do that. That's short enough.
Yep. So number 1, helicopters may only land or lift off from landing and liftoff zones designated in the landing and liftoff zone map. That's showing here on the screen. Number 2, helicopters must be towed to and from designated landing and liftoff zones. Number 3, helicopters may not hover over the ramp outside of landing and liftoff zones or within 100 feet of other aircraft. 4, helicopters may not fly over any hangars, buildings, or aircraft on the ground at an altitude less than 250 feet. 5, when departing from designated landing and liftoff zones, helicopters will either A, depart in the direction of the least amount of buildings, vehicles, and aircraft, or B, hover taxi to the taxiway or runway while remaining aware of open hangar doors and other aircraft in their path. And 6, if any part of this policy is violated, the improper landing or liftoff fee will be imposed on the pilot in command of the aircraft, and that fee is $50.
$50. The one question I had on this that I meant to ask you was this liftoff zone map that you've got depicted. Are you wanting that also board approval on that, or is that something that administrative can update as needed?
Yep, administration would update that as needed, and most likely bring before the board for approval each time that map is updated.
Okay, I was thinking, like, as we're talking about the DNR with their,
Yep.
you know, where they're depicting where it's not a spot. So
Yeah.
it would be nice if administration could just, you know, so I would either say that is something that can be easily edited, or a addendum to that says, you know, something of, or designated
Yeah,
by
I'll put in there specifically airport management may amend the helicopter designated liftoff or landing zone as needed with board approval from time to time. Does that work?
I would certainly.
What do we do? Because like this morning, I got Travelers 172 out to get the Corvallis out, and the 44 comes shooting around from IMSAR, did a big turn there and pushed the 172, and I caught it just before it ruined the tail on the Corvallis. Every time I go to that hangar, I deal with that, so what do you do? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, optimally, you'd reach out to me and I'd grab the tail number, and then I would directly take care of it at that point and charge that fine to the pilot, and then we'd have a meeting with the owner of the helicopter flight school and talk about that safety issue.
And why do they have helipads in the middle of the taxiway? That I don't understand.
That's just to keep...
They painted helipads there.
Yeah, that's to keep them off the side and from interfering with other, you know, hangars in the area. But we can definitely adjust that if there's issue with that.
I've got a question. So when these helicopters in this circle-built areas, are they supposed to come up to 250 feet and then drop straight down into that helipad? Is that what you're...
No, 5B says that the helicopter, if unable to, you know, hover at that altitude, they can hover taxi to the taxiway or runway to take off, but they have to remain aware of open hangar doors or other aircraft in their path.
Okay, so they can still go down?
Yes, they can hover taxi, but they need to be aware of open hangar doors and aircraft in their path.
Okay.
So I guess if an aircraft's in their path, they got to be at least 100 feet away from them.
Yeah, or just look down that row of hangars before you start up your helicopter and wait 5 minutes if you have to.
Never do.
I was just thinking the same thing. Do they pay attention or do they care?
No, it's unsafe.
Yeah, I think that might need to be reworded.
A little of the first, most of the second.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, and also, you know, to not get into like a you know, he said, she said type argument. Is any of this, are any of these areas monitored by video? Like, are they?
Currently, no.
I almost wonder that's because if we're going to get into something like, let's say, you know, in Brett's case on his example, you know.
Yeah.
There's gonna be
If
two sides
anything,
to
you
the
know,
story.
that'll spur a safety conversation, and then the pilot hopefully is more aware in the future.
Is that what you're looking for more so than anything? Just trying to put it.
This one's either going to spur a death or a fight. I mean, I've had them come right over me in an airplane when I'm doing a run up and move it. If it's from behind, I don't see them. I mean, but it's all the time, you know, and
How much you say the penalty was?
$50.
That's too low. Somebody that's gonna not care is gonna pay $50 and keep doing what they're doing. You won't be surprised.
What amount?
What was your comment, Steve?
You're gonna see a proposal here in the next 30 days that will potentially eliminate the company that we're probably all talking about. The biggest problem that we see is the small helicopters that don't have the power to pick up and go straight up. And that will probably be changed here soon.
So with that, with many things, because I know there's just nothing, any policy at all. It's kind of a free for all.
Yep.
So I kind of like that, even though there might not be enough meat. Whether the fine's too low or the even the implementation of it might come out there. Just the fact that we've got some basis. Is there value in that and helping you with your administrative side of things, that you can have a conversation and point to something, or is it?
Or does it need more teeth, right?
Does it need more teeth, or do we want to work something in soft and just let at least?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to maybe start soft, and then if we need to adjust this policy in the future and increase the fine or add some more points, do it at that point. But I don't want to go too heavy-handed at the start and get some negative pushback.
Good, Brett.
So, Christian, has this been discussed with the helicopter
Yep.
people at all?
Yep, I've talked
so
to
they're
the-
aware of it.
yes.
They know it.
Yep.
And then, can I interject, Steve? From your perspective, your son flies a helicopter. You're down there on the ramp every day. Do you agree with what we're trying to do, or?
I agree. There's a spot where we take off, that little spot. You have your pointer?
Right there.
Show them where.
That one right there.
Yeah, that's where we almost always take off from. So, and we have the ability to just go straight up and out.
Yeah.
Some of the other circles I see there are turbine helicopter locations. So those aren't really the ones, and they're not flying like the flight school does. And so if we can accomplish what I think we will here soon and get a commitment, we'll put them on the other side down toward the animal clinic in a new building
Okay.
for their new facility.
Two questions I have is, one, when does this policy take effect? And then second is, how often are we going to update the policy? If we're going to test it out, what does that trial period look like? And then when do we reevaluate it?
Yeah, as soon as the airport board votes on this, go into effect, and then we just kind of see how reports roll in, and meeting with pilots that offend this policy goes, and then adjust from there.
Could I ask for, in 3 months, to have you come back and report if there have been any policy, how the policy has been used, if it has been abused, what it's at, so we can kind of have an idea?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Christian, can you include this in the next town hall that you and Dwayne, and maybe if there's a way to require the helicopter companies to be part of that? I have had a lot of good input, and people love that meeting we had. And so if we can some way enforce their participation and let them hear that from the public side, like happened at our other meeting, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we can definitely start scheduling biannual airport town halls, or quarterly, whatever the board thinks is more appropriate, but I think biannual would be great.
Yeah. Let's go biannual, just because we have these meetings monthly. They could, if we start seeing a need, we can increase it. But I think quarterly it might be too much. We won't get as much turnout.
Yep.
It'd be good if we have that cadence, right? To have that, schedule. It could be like, hey, this policy is coming about before it's even approved, right? We can start then scheduling that. Hey, here's what's coming to the airport. Here are the things that to be on the lookout for, so that they are aware of it before we're taking action on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a question. These guys are doing a lot of training out on the ramp. Right out in front where the parking is. I've been seeing this the last couple of weeks quite a bit, and they're right over the taxiway, and they're just going up and down, practicing down low.
Yeah,
really
I tried to
low.
move the Clubs 172 back yesterday, and 2 of the 22s were doing circles on the ramp. One guy blew an airplane. I don't...
Yep. We're starting to see a lot more of that because the north side of the runway has been spoken for, and there's construction going on over there currently. They're not able to do a lot of their work, either they're hovering or whatever they're working on the abandoned runway anymore. And so they're over on Taxiway Alpha.
So where's their designated place to practice? I guess that's my next question. For these helicopter students to go out and practice? Or is
Yeah, right now it's Taxiway Alpha, the runway, or the Taxiway Bravo spur.
for right now?
Yep,
Because of the construction on the north side?
yep.
Christian, isn't that silt fence that divides it runs north and south between the Pady development and the undeveloped side? Doesn't the undeveloped side, that's still open because
Yeah.
it's
The only
west
issue
of the
there
silt
is
fence.
Yeah, if they do come in, you know, for their touch and goes or whatever they're doing, they're flying and approaching really low over the moving equipment, and they'd be hovering and practicing over leased land. You know, so Patey Aviation could easily say, we don't want to have that anymore, and that's gone.
Yeah. All right.
Is that safer than being out on the runway or on the ramp? I guess the safety is a bigger concern there. That's what I'm looking at. Where they should be practiced. That's where they used to practice over there. Maybe just because they're stirring up a bunch of dust over there. Is that the
Yep.
biggest complaint?
There's dust and there's equipment moving all over that piece of land.
Yeah. That'll give those guys something to laugh about every day. The dust they probably wouldn't care for. How about if they went further to the northwest so where the Patey Aviation is right across the ramp, if they go further over to the west, further up on the west side of the runway, up there on the northwest side, should be a lot of open space there for them to hover down low and practice there.
Yeah, they could definitely do that, and I can talk to them about that.
Send them over there instead of having them running up and down the taxiway all day and scaring some of these pilots and people that are moving the airplanes around on the ramp or doing run-ups or whatever. I think we need to find some kind of alternative.
I think we can engage them on that. I think the idea of having this initial policy going through towards the hangars is something. The ramp area, like in the parking areas that are, already leased out, we can definitely mitigate that. I don't think we have any teeth in being able to mitigate their use on a taxiway. I was trying to pull up their document. I had referenced this a couple weeks ago, but they pretty much have as much right to that taxiway as any aircraft does, which makes sense. But I think just in a friendly conversation, I think, Christian administration, we can engage them, see if there's something that would work for them. But if in that construction,
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we can try to maybe find a happy medium, but I don't think we can create a policy by any means on that.
I'm not saying that. I'm just suggesting for safety. There's a lot of space over there on that northwest side of the main runway.
Yeah.
For them to, and they had a engine failure right there. They've got soft ground to land on.
We do have to be a little careful in that area. We have worked a lot of noise mitigation issues with that large animal clinic out on that side. So
I
there's,
don't mean that far up.
yeah, but I think we can
There's a lot of room between there.
look through
I'm
that.
saying there's hundreds of yards for them to practice over there.
Yeah, so I think on that we'll just have to engage into a friendly conversation with them.
Absolutely.
So
I would see if they're okay with that. That would keep the noise level down and then blasting around all the hangars and the ramp area, because it was very congested the last few days, and 3 or 4 going up and down the taxiway, and people are, I don't know,
Yeah.
It looked kind of chaotic.
there's a lot of chaotic. Might even say there's a lot of ideas for the taxiway Bravo to have to occur. I'm just kidding. Okay, but with that, let's move forward. Jesse, I know you had thrown some amendments to this.
Could we throw in, that the FAA approve of this prior, before it goes into effect? I want to run it by our FAA rep and just make sure that they're fine, that this doesn't violate any grant assurances.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Off the subject, I have one other thing. We really don't have a whole lot, if you look at it, we don't have much for a run-up area like a lot of other airports.
Hold your thought on that one there, James, for 1 second. Let's finish this one out. So
I can make it.
okay, as I say, do you want to throw on what you had?
So I move to accept the helicopter designated liftoff and landing zone policies with the 2 amendments, being that we come back in did I say 90 days? 3 months, to talk about what this has looked like, and then also it will not go into effect until Christian has had time to run it by the FFA representative. Perfect. For approval.
Yep. All right, we have a motion. Any comment? Sorry.
Motion.
Jesse had the motion.
Okay, second.
I'll give the second to Dwayne. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
All right, those opposed? All right, motion carries. I actually just heard, I'll talk to you after. We actually have areas on each side that have been designated for that. that need. So
Well, it
I'll
just-
run up areas. Yeah.
Most airports have a big area to pull off to do a run-up.
Yeah.
There just isn't much at this airport.
We've done a lot of, over the last 2 weeks, a lot of work with our flight schools on these areas. And at least from what I've noticed, there's been a little bit more continuity and flight schools working together as far as run-ups. So I've seen some improvement.
Yeah, we'll get with you after James to show you what we designated. Just real quick though, our airport, we only had one on runway 12. That's the one that's missing, but 30's never had one. It's always just been on the taxiway, and it went through back when it had the
We used to
jog.
go around the backside, turn around, and run
Yep.
up.
So we're just now implementing that kind of mindset on both sides. But we actually have maps and stuff, but we'll get those to you so you can see what they're working on. So, all right. With that, actually, that concludes all the regular agenda items. Are there other items of concern from members of the board or the public? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All right.
Second it.
Second by Rad, 16:49. I guess we should vote on it. Those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Yeah, 16:49. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. We welcome.